Welcome in, everyone. I hope you guys are doing great wherever you're watching from today. We have some big news. It appears President Donald Trump is weighing a decision to just outright assassinate the dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro. He's been presented with multiple options, three major options. And for viewers of the channel, these options are going to sound familiar because I made a video about this probably about a month ago at this point, explaining how you could get rid of Nicolas Maduro. And lo and behold, it sounds like the Pentagon planners came up with essentially the same thing I did as a YouTuber, which is kind of interesting to say the least. But one of the big options that he is weighing is, do we just go in and outright kill this scumbag? Or do we try a few other options that might be on the table? So we're going to break down exactly what Trump is weighing. Will he assassinate Nicolas Maduro? We're going to get into all of it. Before we do, as always, please make sure to like and subscribe. Totally free, cost you nothing. Huge, huge, huge boost to the channel. Comment with your thoughts below. What do you think is the best option to get rid of Nicolas Maduro? Is it airstrikes? Is it Delta Force and SEAL Team 6 going in? Do we try to capture him alive? Do we just take him out? Let me know in the comments below. Hit that notifications bell. All notifications turned on. You won't miss a single thing. And then right here, Instagram, David_Hookstead, X, D Hookstead. That's where you can find me on social media. My DMs are wide open. Send me any tips you have or just reach out and say hello. Now let's get into it. The United States' pressure on the Venezuelan regime, and I always want to make clear, our problems are not with the Venezuela people who have lived under the boot of Nicolas Maduro. Our issue is with the regime of Nicolas Maduro, his thugs and gangsters that he surrounds himself with, that have pushed their poison, their carnage, their violence, and their pain from their country into ours, whether it be drugs, criminals, and also critically important, allowing the Russians and the Chinese to have a staging area in our hemisphere. Without Venezuela, the Russians and the Chinese essentially have no access to our hemisphere. Yes, Cuba still exists, but we all know Cuba has absolutely nothing going for it whatsoever, as where Venezuela is a resource-rich country. So we are building up our military forces. We are trying to make it clear to Maduro he can pack his bags, update his passport, and leave with his life, or eventually we are going to do plan B, which is rock and roll, shock and awe with the United States military. And I can tell you from government officials I've spoken to that the plan, without question, is if he does not leave voluntarily, they have every intention of going in and taking Maduro out. That is what they are planning for. That is what they want to do. That is what they are going to do, according to people with direct knowledge of the situation. Which leads me to this point. I'm going to throw this up on the screen for you. This comes from the New York Times. It's actually an incredible, lengthy dive into the situation. I know many of you watching this probably don't like the New York Times. I understand fully. The New York Times does, to its credit, do some great long-form reporting on foreign affairs. So, having said that, we're going to get into this because it actually matches up perfectly with what I previously reported. So it says the Trump administration has developed a range of options for military action in Venezuela, including direct attacks on military units that protect President Nicolas Maduro and moves to seize control of the country's oil fields, according to multiple U.S. officials. President Trump has yet to make a decision about how or even whether to proceed. Officials said he was reluctant to approve operations that may place American troops at risk or could turn into an embarrassing failure. But here's the thing. It's not going to be an embarrassing failure because the Venezuelans have no ability to stop this. Their military is a joke. They have old Soviet planes. And yes, we are going to get in later in the video what we've talked about before, the Russians rushing in new weapons, but they do not have the means to fight the United States. And the people of Venezuela do not want to fight the United States. The people of Venezuela want to see Nicolas Maduro deposed and overthrown. But it says, but many of his senior advisors are pressing for one of the most aggressive options, ousting Mr. Maduro from power. It says, Mr. Trump's aides have asked the Justice Department for additional guidance that could provide a legal basis for any military action beyond the current campaign of striking boats that the administration says are trafficking narcotics without providing evidence. That's a ridiculous line from the New York Times. You can literally see the drugs in the boats when the missiles hit them, and they blow up and white powder goes everywhere. Give me a break. Such guidance can include a legal rationale for targeting Mr. Trump without creating the need for congressional authorization for the use of military force, much less a declaration of war. So that's where we are right now. The plans are being drawn up. They're bringing them to President Donald Trump. And then down here, so this is where it gets into it. This is where it breaks down exactly what is going on. It says a military plan in 3 parts. It says this is very important because this is where they're essentially going to say, why don't we just kill this piece of garbage? It says Mr. Trump's authorization for the CIA to operate inside Venezuela's borders could enable the agency to conduct a variety of activities, from information operations to building opposition to Mr. Maduro being actively sabotage his government, and even seizing the leader himself. But national security officials say that if such operations could really pry Mr. Maduro from power, he would have been gone years ago. This is why the White House is considering military action, and the proposals on the table come in 3 broad varieties. So President Trump has been brought by the military and his senior advisors 3 different options for removing Maduro from power. A, B, and C. And we're going to get into all of them. It says the first option, and I talked about this option in the video a month ago. First option would involve airstrikes against military facilities, some of which would be involved in facilitating drug trafficking with the aim of collapsing Venezuelan military support for Mr. Maduro. If Mr. Maduro believed he was no longer protected, he might seek to flee, or in moving around the country, make himself more vulnerable to capture, officials say. Critics of such an approach warn that it could have the opposite effect of rallying support around the embattled leader. Option 2, this is the assassination option. This is the option that Trump is considering. We can just assassinate him. We can go in and we can just kill him, and then he's gone. We'll probably have to kill his senior military leaders as well, but then the problem is going to kind of solve itself. So it says a second approach envisions the United States sending special operations forces such as the Army's Delta Force or SEAL Team 6. Guys, I literally floated this plan a month ago to try to capture or kill Mr. Maduro. It would be a capture or kill mission, but if they face resistance, that's obviously going to automatically become a kill mission, and then they will assassinate or take out whatever it might be, Mr. Maduro, similar to the Osama bin Laden raid. Under this option, the Trump administration would seek to sidestep prohibitions against assassinating foreign leaders by arguing that Mr. Maduro is first and foremost the head of a narco-terrorist gang, an extension of the arguments used to justify the U.S. airstrikes on boats the administration says are smuggling drugs. So a little bit of background here. The United States has a prohibition on assassinating rival leaders. Can't do it. But you can go in and kill, under the rules of engagement, narco-terrorist, Al-Qaeda. That's how they got bin Laden. You don't have protections as a terrorist leader that you do as a head of state or head of government. So what they're saying here is, because he is the head of essentially 2 criminal organizations, Cartel of the Suns and Tren de Aragua, he does not have the protection that you would get as head of state from not being assassinated. They're saying he's a terrorist, he's a criminal. Therefore, within the rules of engagement, much like Osama bin Laden, we can just go in and wipe him out. Third option says the third option involves a much more complicated plan to send U.S. counterterrorism forces to seize control of airfields and at least some of Venezuela oil fields and infrastructure. The last 2 options carry much greater risk to American commandos on the ground, not to mention civilians, especially if they are targeting Mr. Maduro in an urban setting like Caracas, the country's capital. So I've also talked about this. What do the Rangers do? What do the Army Rangers do better than anyone else on the planet? What is their bread and butter? It is airfield seizure. You can drop the Rangers in, seize the airfields. We've talked about this at length. You can get the SEALs and the Marines to take the ports, to take the docks, cut off and starve out the Maduro regime, cut off his access to money, resources, ability to resupply, and you would deal a devastating blow to the Maduro regime. So those are the 3 options that are being considered right now. Airstrikes, I've talked about them. Delta Force, SEAL Team 6 going in and taking them out, and then airfield or airport and port seizures. Now, what's interesting about this is, I'm going to throw this up on the screen. This news from the New York Times comes just days after, and we talked about this on a video. I'm filming this on November 5th. We talked about this on a video on November 4th. This news comes after a U.S. Air Force C-32B Gatekeeper, which is a JSOC or CIA Black Ops airplane that shuttles around Delta Force, SEAL Team 6, CIA Special Activities Division. It moves around guys that aren't even supposed to exist, right? It was spotted in Puerto Rico one day before the ghost ship, which was also in Puerto Rico, the MV Ocean Trader, disappeared and went out to sea. So what you're looking at here are classified commandos that moved into the location of the ghost ship. We'll look at it here. So this is the unmarked secret plane that brought them in. You can see their gear and bags on the ground. And then shortly after their arrival, the ghost ship, which they're almost certainly on, disappears out to sea to probably a rally point, a staging point, to prepare to conduct strikes against Nicolas Maduro and the regime of Venezuela. Then we find out from the New York Times that Trump is weighing the option to just send in Delta Force or SEAL Team 6 and just kill the guy. Now, you want to have those assets in position ahead of time so that the president can make whatever decision he's going to make. This also comes as the Venezuelans are having weapons from Russia. We talked about this in a video, shipped to them around the clock in secret planes. So we knew about the secret planes. We knew that Russian aircraft were flying into Caracas. We did not know what was on those planes. Now the Russian government has come out and confirmed it was weapons. So the government official, a Russian government official, said Russia is actually one of Venezuela's key military technical partners. We supply the country with virtually the entire range of weapons, from small arms to aircraft. Russian Su-30 Mk2 fighters are the backbone of the Venezuelan Air Force, making it one of the most powerful air powers in the region. The delivery of several S-300 battalions has significantly strengthened the country's ability to protect critical facilities from air attack. According to the latest information, Russian Pantsir and Buk M2E systems were recently delivered to Caracas by Ilyushin 76 aircraft. And then right here, this is what we talked about. Now they're threatening to arm them with weapons that you could put a nuke on, saying if information about the volumes and exact names of what's being imported from Russia is classified, so the Americans could be in for some surprises. I don't see any obstacles to supplying a friendly country with new developments like the Orshnik, which is a IRBM. It is a massive missile that can carry 6 different split-off warheads. It is an offensive weapon you could use to sink U.S. ships, bomb U.S. staging points. And as I said, if the Russians supplied this weapon to the Venezuelans and it is used to kill Americans, the backlash and response is going to be immediate. And the proven Kalibr missile, at least no international obligations restrict Russia from doing so. So the Russians are openly saying we might give Venezuela offensive weapons. We've already given them the defensive weapons. We've already given them the air defense. Now we might give them offensive weapons to go kill Americans with. So I'll pull this off the screen. So Trump has some decisions to make. The president has some serious decisions to make. He has 3 options: airstrikes, Delta Force raid to assassinate or capture him, or we can seize the airfields, seize the port, seize the oil fields, and then starve the regime out. Obviously, options 2 and 3 are way riskier because it requires you to put boots on the ground. But I'll tell you this much, and I want the Venezuelan government, who I know watches this, and I know the good people of Venezuela do too, and know we are with you, we support you, we want your freedom for you. But for all the Venezuelan dirtbag government leaders watching this, read my lips. When Delta Force touches down, or when SEAL Team 6 touches down, and they come in the middle of the night, and they're hunters, and that's what they're going to do, and they come hunting for Nicolas Maduro and his gangster cronies, you don't have a chance. You do not have a chance. The weapons, tools, and assets they will bring to the fight will crush any resistance Maduro can try to muster. And they will, in lethal and surgical fashion, rid the world of that problem one way or another, whether he comes back in handcuffs, riding on a helicopter, or he comes in a body bag. That's going to be up to whether or not Maduro tries to resist. But he has no way to beat the United States military. That's a guarantee you can take to the bank. So I want to know in the comments, how do you want to see, which option do you want Trump to pick? airstrikes, Delta Force SEAL Team 6, or seizing the critical assets, critical infrastructure? Let me know in the comments below. Please make sure to like and subscribe. Totally free. Cost you guys absolutely nothing at all. Huge, 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 huge boost to the channel. Hit that notifications bell. All notifications turn on. You won't miss a thing. And then right here, Instagram, David_Hookstead, X, D Hookstead. That's where you can find me on social media. My DMs are wide open. Please reach out with any tips you have or to just say hello. I love talking with you guys. I'll see you all next time.